Hello everybody, and welcome to another rainy day in England. It's been raining essentially non-stop for the past 4 days, and looks like it's probably going to rain for about the next week or so. So I'm taking this time to kind of record this little intro, I guess, for this new vlog. Kind of just talking about what I like about England, things I've learned from the study abroad program so far, things like that. My hair's a bit of a mess. I was wearing a hat, I apologize. Just kind of talking about things like that. Well, I like England so far. England's a nice country. Radically different from America in terms of there's a sense of social cohesion. People are generally more polite here in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of vulgarity. Certain words I've heard, I'm like, you wouldn't be saying that in America, kind of thought. But there's also just the whole idea of everybody knows how to form a queue properly or a line. People generally are a lot more helpful, but they aren't as friendly and outgoing as Americans are on the street. It's always weird to me whenever someone actually walks up and talks to me, but whenever they do, I realize that they're part of my group. So the only time I've ever talked with anyone who's, a local has been at the shops. Speaking of shops, I love Waterstones. Waterstones is a lovely bookstore, and I think it really kind of one-ups Barnes & Noble a bit, just a bit. I like some of the unique UK editions that they have here compared to back in the States. And I also love Greggs. Greggs is the greatest thing I have ever come across here. Their fried chicken is crap. I can say that because I know what good fried chicken tastes like. They just put pepper on it. I'm sorry, don't mean to offend, but it's the truth. Other than that, the sandwiches, the convenience, the customer service, everything is just phenomenal. It's great. So about this study abroad program, it's medieval England and Renaissance. So it's part of the medieval England and Renaissance studies, or medieval Renaissance studies program back at the university. And so far we've just kind of blasted through the past week, going through all medieval history, talking about Alfred the Great and the composition of Beowulf, getting to listen to Dr. Quinn read the Canterbury Tales and Beowulf and all that in Old and Middle English. We've been going through the historical significance of the Norman invasion, and kind of talking about courtly love and why England is different from the US in terms of how we view things. And it goes a lot deeper than how we just think, 1776 was the breakup letter, so to speak. It goes a lot further. Aside from that, we've had a lot of other excursions, and there's going to be a lot more excursions planned for the next few weeks. We're going to be in London next week, or later this week, I should say, probably Thursday or Friday, one of the two. We'll be in New York. We'll be leaving Durham on Tuesday. And so there's a lot that we've learned. And so this past week really there hasn't been a lot of stuff that we've done. It's mainly just been classwork, lectures, things along those lines. But we did, go out to a pub. We went to Lindisfarne on Friday, and I actually went back and did a couple things I did, but I forgot to film. So I just kind of redid some of that. Insofar as everything else on this trip, it's been quite lovely. I've enjoyed, I've been enjoying the idea of being an American in a different country. It's a bit weird. It feels a little jarring at first. I will say though, I wish that it would stop raining. I'm here the rain. This is what it looks like. The lovely and wonderful cathedral, right? We also went to the Durham Castle yesterday and had afternoon tea as well. So, in a sense, if you are considering, going to England, I'd recommend it. This is a bit of I'm hoping that these vlogs can pass off as my final project, because I am talking about the course, I am talking about aspects of it. I'm also just bringing, encouraging people, hey, if you want to do the medieval England study road trip, if you're part of the university, go ahead, So, yeah, I like England. Learning a lot about medieval history, a lot more than I knew previously, which is nice. We really blame a lot of stuff on Henry VIII and the Victorians, the Victorian conservationists, as everyone has it. They've all been bashing the Victorians, and it's so funny. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this week's vlog. I've rambled on enough, and talk to you guys later. So at first I went to a Redmond stationery shop, which is quite nice, and then I also went down another street and found a bookshop called Oxfam. At first I thought it was a thrift shop, but it turns out it's more so old books. So I found some of these really nice editions of Clarissa and some other Dickens books. As you can see, they just have a wide selection of vintage items and rare books of different varieties, different languages, different subjects, ranging from literature, philosophy, religion, languages, war, literature, things along those lines. I found some goodies, and I'll be doing a whole thing in a separate video. As you can see, they had a pretty interesting philosophy section, which I found kind of fulfilling, if I'm going to be completely honest. So yeah, and this is the literature area. They had a lot of rare or out-of-print books here. I was quite impressed, honestly. I found a few goodies, and yeah, so here's the Thomas Hardy folio collection right there. This is another version of Clarissa by Samuel Richardson. And then this is a rare version of Coleridge's Poetica Works. And then here we have a book from 1833, I believe is what is on the inside, which I was very nervous handling that book, but I thought it was so cool. Then we went drinking out at a pub later that evening, and here I am, we were all playing some games, had fun. Really, the camaraderie is building up, and the next day we went off over to Lindisfarne, also known as the Holy Island, which was founded in the 1630s, I believe, by St. Aidan. And the most notable resident of Lindisfarne is St. Cuthbert, who is buried over here in Durham. As you can see, it's called the Holy Island, and we went during low tide, which is really the only time you can ever go there. It reminds me a lot of Mont Saint-Michel in France. You can kind of see how marshy and wet it is. There is the Lindisfarne Castle in the distance, and it was quite beautiful. We all greatly loved what we saw. And then this is inside the Lindisfarne Museum. Some of the stone tablets that they found, some of them have runes on them from the Viking invasion. And then here's some other cloth that they found from the 18th century, I believe. Some more of the stone tablets, headstones, things along those lines. This is a statue of St. Aidan or St. Cuthbert, I can't remember off the top of my head. Here's part of the monastery or the abbey that still stands. It's Norman, some of it's Norman construction. This was a graveyard. I apologize for the lighting on those. Those weren't great, but the pictures really don't capture the beauty of this place. Inside, next to this is a chapel that's still in operation. St. Mary's, I believe, is what is the name of it. And I'm just showing some more what the different angles of this place are. It's really fascinating history, honestly. Seeing how it's also standing after all this time. And then here's some brief history on Lindisfarne. This is inside St. Mary's Cathedral. As you can see, there are some parts of it which are a bit more Gothic than Norman, and this is the altar. We eventually found a little area right over here. We found a little side path right by the graveyard that took us over down by the coast, as you can see here. And we were fascinated by the island that was kind of in the distance. In the distance, and here I am saying hi. The island had a cross on it, so we decided to venture our way over there through the treacherous rocks and all that. As you can see, they waved. This is where St. Cuthbert actually stayed and when he was alive. This was his hermitage, I found out from my professor. And this is where we all decided to kind of eat lunch, and here I am just kind of showing off everything. It's quite the trek, and thank you to Anna who took these photos for me. I appreciate it. I didn't know that these photos were being taken. Here is where St. Cuthbert stayed. That's where the cross indicates there were a bunch of offerings in front of it. And of course, I paid my respect and prayed in front of the cross briefly. Kind of taking some angles of what I saw, and we all decided just to have lunch here, have a little picnic, and it was quite fun. After that, after taking pictures and all, we decided to go and find a cafe, which is what we did. We found a cafe. I got a cappuccino. For all you Americans who are watching, iced coffee is not a thing here. And I'm just taking videos of the wonderful meadows and such, and we found some poppies. The nice thing, and the thing that we wanted to go see the lambs, the sheep. There's the castle right there, and you can see the wonderful water, and here I am just kind of filming everything at different distances. Lindisfarne is a wonderful, wonderful place. Everyone's so nice. We all kind of had a joke that we would become monks or part of the monastery if we could just live here forever. As you can see, there's a lot of history here. Some of the mounds, there are some fallen and decrepit buildings. Here we are just walking over to the sheep to go find them. I felt like a hobbit going on my adventure. It's quite nice. The wildflowers were quite pretty. The fields were untamed. It felt as if nature was there, and there are the sheep in the background. They were so cute. Here we are venturing off to the other side, to the dangerous rocks, because we wanted to go find hermit crabs. We were told that there were hermit crabs on this side. So yeah, that's kind of what we did at that point, and wow. Water. This is pretty fun. As you know, I had to take that beach read photo, and we all decided to take some photos by the beach, you know, just kind of commemorating our time here. But sadly, as you know, all good things must eventually come to an end. And so we made our way back to the bus stop after everyone wanted to go grab a cup of coffee from the cafe that we were just at. It's called Pilgrim's Cafe. If you're ever in Lindisfarne, go check it out. It's quite nice. So we made our way back to Durham. It's about a 2-hour coach ride there, and as you can see, the tide was slowly coming back, and we were all exhausted for the rest of the day. It was a bit much. The next day we went to Durham Castle, which is one of the older buildings in Durham. In fact, it houses the oldest Norman construction in all of England, from what we were told. It houses the Norman Cathedral, which was built by the Normans back whenever they, invaded. William the Conqueror sent a bunch of armies, sent his army up here and had to do, some nasty business. But as you can see, they're doing a lot of preservation work. Our tour guide blamed this Victorian conservationist for doing a piss poor job at it, which was quite funny, and we can kind of see why. Fun fact about this coming up, you'll see that this is the oldest depiction of a mermaid in all of England. It's not this photo right here, but it's the next photo right there. That's the oldest depiction of a mermaid in all of England, apparently. Here we can see the original entrance to the Norman Cathedral, and actually it's still used today. They used it during the Second World War, and they apparently have theater performances and such. This is the result of wind hitting sandstone at the castle, and this is the oldest Norman arch in England. And this is a painting of the celebration of the victory at Waterloo, and it's just some filming around the little gallery that they had. Unfortunately, some of the castle was a bit cut off due to some renovations and things like that, some safety concerns. Overall, it's quite nice, and apparently the Great Hall in this castle was used for inspiration in the Harry Potter films, because originally they wanted to film in there, but they didn't want to have to remove all the paintings, as you can see. So if this looks slightly familiar to you, that's why. It was quite an ordeal. I very much enjoyed the tour and learning a bit more about the medieval history of England and the medieval history of Durham and how it played into that. As you can see, the stained glass is quite nice. Here's a bust of Homer, and then the next bust is that of Sappho, the poet, from the Isle of Lesbos. And here we are taking our pictures, and then after that we went and had some tea, proper British tea. It was quite delicious, quite fun. I'll miss Durham, and I will see you guys in the next vlog. Hope you guys enjoy. See ya.